Let me tell you a story about a man who loses a daughter, moral and practical folk, and a rogue, forgive me, a salesman in the middle of it all. And it's all about fairies and their ways, for it takes place in a fairy kingdom where the folk are not like us. No, not like us.
Hi, my name is David Menton, and I'm the Artistic Director of Lumina Studio Theatre.
Can I have my sheet? Let me see where my sheet are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You don't need to be over there. You need to be over here now. I shall not, blah, 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 mark our contract. You're going to spin him and throw him down.
Be overawed by him. He's got nice clothes.
Mark your divorce sentence.
Mark your divorce! You're angry now. You've taken your disguise off. I'm the angry father.
Mark your divorce sentence, sir, whose son I dare not call. Thou art too base to be acknowledged.
Lumina was started in 1996 by Gillian Ray to offer opportunities for young people to experience live theater, to produce live theater, particularly Shakespeare. We've done a number of productions over the years, including some of my own work and some large-scale works adapted from Charles Dickens.
We're reading Julius Caesar right now. Most of it I just flip through and go like, oh, I remember that scene, and I'll understand it so much more because we'll have already done the play.
The Winter's Tale was a production that was very close to Gillian's heart. I think the idea of family conflict and redemption meant a lot to her. It's one of the last plays Shakespeare wrote, so you can really see and hear in his words how he's coming into a whole new level of brilliance with this new genre. He was working in tragic comedy. The first part of the play is a very heavy drama. The second part is a very funny comedy, and they're both resolved brilliantly at the end. The biggest challenge with this revival of Winter's Tale was the challenge of it being a revival. This is one of the few revivals that we've done, and I think the choice to do it was both in honor of Gillian, who passed away 2 years ago, and also because I think with the mix of shows we've done lately, both comedy and drama, this show that's this interesting hybrid seemed like it would fit very nicely into our growth as a theater company.
Go, sailors.
We didn't want to simply redo it, but we wanted to bring something new to it and bring out any things that perhaps were in Jill's original vision, but we simply weren't able to do because Lumina was a lot younger back then, smaller budget, etc., etc. Beyond that, the biggest challenge was just coordinating all the production elements.
I like coming to the rehearsals and doing the warm-ups. Those are pretty fun. Oh, and the costumes! Oh, the costumes.
With Wendy, our costumer, she's probably the first person that I meet with. Even though many of the costumes had been created by Gillian, we still had them in storage. A lot of the costumes had to be made.
The Winter's Tale was done 9 years ago. Gillian designed all the costumes for that. Everybody wears flowing gowns from about 1450. These were all around the waist of each person and held the gowns and tunics in place. And all of these had fallen apart to some extent, so my helper, Sarah Wilson, who's a sophomore in high school, came in and helped put these back together.
A song for me and my arms flowing like tumbling in the hay. Hey!
I have served Prince Florizel, and in my time wore 3 pile, but now I am out of service.
And then the children had to dress him. I had some lovely red stretch pants for him, but they couldn't get those on him.
Named me Autolycus, who being as I am...
Stop. Okay, let's try to help the poor boys.
So we ended up just using these sort of loose hospital pants, and that was more doable. I had to make a top for him that was easily put on with some Velcro.
Who being as I am, littered under mercury, was likewise a snapper of unconsidered trifles.
Let Sam get his pants on, please.
The big project for this part was the vests.
Welcome to our series!
We put zippers in each one of these so that we could get it off quickly. My fine assistant, Diane Dumais, ended up making most of these vests, and she overcame her fear of installing zippers.
Wendy does a really good job with all of the costumes in every play, and I don't know how she does it because she has to do them like really fast, and she pretty much just works miracles.
Jim is really the next person I meet with. Usually I come up with the set design, and it could be sort of on the back of a napkin, but Jim would take that, work it up, and then make it a reality. I usually give our props designer, Jeff Struing, a listing by scene of what props I'm looking for.
I practically live in Valley Village. Autolycus
Yeah.
comes up, does his wares. So this I just made out of plywood, simple enough. Include this red felt in here. It's supposed to be unbreakable plastic, and invariably either they purposely get dropped or they're supposed to get dropped. In this show, I think at least one time it's supposed to hit the floor, and hopefully if I bring 6 or 8 or 10, we'll end up with one working for each show.
Yeah, but they don't need to open it all the whole way, or, I think they're the only two that sit on it.
Depends on the day of the week what my title is. Some days it's managing director, some days it's marketing person, some days it's production manager, some days I wear different hats on the same day.
Julie is like a superhuman person. She is like a superhero because she runs everything, knows where everything is, and even though she knows everything and can answer everybody's questions, she still calls David boss. So it's this like really adorable dynamic.
I spent a whole day one time looking for gnomes for a summer show. So it depends on what's needed, and that's the hat I wear that day or that hour.
Musical component of our shows take a while to develop. Karen Ashbrook and I started meeting on the music in August. We even touched a little bit on it in June, and this was for a show in December, because the music had to be researched and chosen, it had to be rehearsed with her own musicians and so on.
David's a very generous director. He gives me the scene, he tells me, okay, these characters will do this, they will have this fight. Like for example, this first duel, he said it's a playful duel between these two characters. I said, okay, and that's all he gave me. And he said to me, he goes, I trust you to come up with what you need to for the scene. And I went from there. He'll want it longer or shorter or things like that. But I find working with David's really a lot of fun, and it's very easy on me because I get to just explore the moment, and he'll come in and just make little adjustments to fit his vision.
The lighting design is probably the last thing to happen. I probably meet with Todd, our lighting designer, maybe a month before the show goes up, and I write out the cues and the looks that I want for the different scenes, and then we have a discussion about it, and then he actually hangs the lights, focuses them, and writes the cues according to what I'm looking for. And then as the rehearsal week goes on in the theater, we make adjustments and so on.
It's a ridiculous amount of work, but that's a good thing because if you're really serious, like if you want to do acting, you have to be ready to take that responsibility.
I had to express
real, genuine emotion, and that was terrifying.
So the bar is raised pretty high, and for young people, that could be intimidating. What I find works the best is to give structure.
I need to be able to hear everybody. Number 2 is clarity. I want to hear every single consonant. And number 3 is pick up your fingers. Okay, here we go.
What I encourage young actors to do is to do their basement acting. And by that I mean, here's what I see in the character, here's what I would like you to think about. But I would like you to go to your basement or a private place where they don't have to edit themselves, they can just try things out and create and play, so that then it really is a collaborative process.
I definitely look up to David. He's one of the big reasons why I love Lumina so much. He's a great director, and he's someone that you can look up to.
It was overwhelming, it was terrifying, but I could not be more thankful. It means so much.
There's just so much of Jillian in this show, and the show itself is beautiful, but with just that added weight, it was so special and meaningful. It was amazing.
All is not perfect at the end of the play. Things go wrong. Things go wrong with families. But the power of forgiveness is greater. The power of love is greater than those mistakes, and the family puts itself back together again. I think that's the hard-won theme of the play.